Yeah, and so you have ether in sort of the mid-19th century, and then, of course, later you have cocaine, you have opium, which is, actually cocaine comes along and is presented as sort of a cure to the opiate, the morphine addiction. So, like, take cocaine instead. And I had brought, it's in my Mary Poppins bag, I'll show it to you later after the show. I brought a postcard that shows a dentist, and he's pulling a tooth, and the person wrote underneath, just had a tooth pulled with cocaine. So they were using it for all kinds of things, and doctors were becoming addicted themselves to these drugs. Then heroin comes along. Bayer invents heroin. Heroin is given to your children. It's put in all kinds of things. Again, it's positioned as, break your cocaine addiction now with heroin. So it was just a crazy period, and it was really sort of in the early 20th century when a lot of this stuff started to be regulated finally.
Wow.
I didn't bring any of that with me.
I believe there was a mummy that was found in ancient Egypt that tested positive for cocaine.
Oh.
But they think that it might be a false positive because apparently there's something else that they would consume back then that would make you test positive for cocaine.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Jamie will find it. But it was some evidence. I think what they were trying to connect this to, now I remember, they were trying to connect this to the idea that people from Egypt had the ability to travel to the Americas. And that someone from, here it goes, American drugs and ancient Egyptian mummies. Can you make that a little larger, please? It says, it seems safe to say that blah, 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 blah. In 1992, a new study of 9 mummies from ancient Egypt created quite a stir when it was announced the discovery of traces of nicotine and cocaine in their hair. Both of these chemicals came from plants found only in South America, and this research has since been touted as evidence of pre-Columbian contact between America and Africa, something thought to be impossible based on the rest of the archaeological record. So what's going on? Let's start by looking at the evidence. 1992, they're performed by Svelta Balabanova and that's a serious woman, and 2 of her colleagues at the Institute for Anthropology, and this is in Munich. They're using German words for
I would skip
anthropology
that.
and probably in humanities of the university in Munich. The tests were carried out by 9 mummies on 9 mummies, Munich Museum, dating from 1070 to 395 BC. The study focused on hair samples, which were often used to assess drug concentrations in the body. The results, what does it say here? Well, they discovered all the mummies tested positive for cocaine and hashish, which makes sense. The results caused an immediate stir. Come on, let's cut to the chase here, folks. First thing to say, archaeologists are not just being stubborn about this. There are many reasons not to think the traces of drugs in 9 mummies means. What is it? What is the conclusion? Cut to the chase, you fucks.
This is a real academic article here.
Yeah, nicotine, cocaine. Okay, back up, cocaine. Stop. Okay, cocaine, most of us think of today, was first discovered in early civilizations. The Andean region of South America, they chew in the coca leaves, exactly. Instead, the cocaine and possibly the nicotine, too, were actually being introduced to the mummies as part of an embalming process. Huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Whoa. More likely they obtained cocaine from America. Okay. I don't know. I give up. There's no way. We'll have to read this.
You did it good, yeah.
I tried.
Yeah, you tried.
This seems like it's going to take a long time. Many resins and spices, hold on a second, were certainly used this day. We aren't entirely sure what they all were. Rare or exotic materials were almost certainly used. And it is far less of a stretch to suggest this included imports from the Middle East and potentially as far afield as India. I don't know. I think they're very skeptical about the idea that people from Egypt were able to travel all the way to the Americas where cocaine was, but I think part of the conclusion was that there were some other things that would make you test positive for cocaine.
Oh, it's interesting.
It was sort of like poppy seeds make you test positive for heroin.
Right, yeah.
Like if you have to go for a drug test for work, they say don't eat poppy seed
Don't
bagels.
eat that Yeah, wasn't there like a Seinfeld episode?
I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it too. It might have been part of a thriving tourist scam in Egypt in the Victorian era. So they might have said it was there, and some people would come look, and then,
Wait a minute, said what was there?
The cocaine. It says, since passing his corpses off recently deceased as ancient mummies was a thriving tourist scam in Egypt during the Victorian era. Like it could have,
that doesn't make sense because the tests were done in 1992.
After the experiments, even assuming the cocaine was actually found on the mummies, it's possible this could have been a contamination that occurred after
with
the discovery or whatever. something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. So a bunch of cokeheads were fondling mummies.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted those mummies because they wanted to eat them, as I said.
Oh,
They
yeah.
ground them up and
They'd use
they did
that
all
in
kinds of
ancient
things.
Egyptian mummies. They used that too.
Yeah. Think about how much was destroyed because people had to eat
Well,
it.
I think about that all the time. There's a fantastic exhibit.
There you go. Cure-all mummy.
Oh, cure-all mummy powder. Wow, look at that. That is nuts. Mummy extract. It's cure-all. Whatever you got.
Yeah.
Fix
it.
it.
It's a quack remedy when it's a cure-all. We still have quack remedies. Take a pill, lose a lot of
Right.
weight.
Well,
it's
those
like modern
late
day
night
quack.
things that are causing people to lose weight, those late night infomercials.
Yep.
Take a bunch of pills.
Yeah, that's our modern day quackery.
There's a fantastic exhibit that's right now. There's an IMAX exhibit in Los Angeles at one of the museums. I saw it about a year ago. But they have a King Tut exhibit, and then on top of that, they have this gigantic IMAX theater, which is fantastic. And they show all these different tombs that they had discovered and how they discovered them. But it makes you really, when they've discovered King Tut's tomb, we have no idea how many similar tombs there were that were looted over the many,
think about
many
how much
hundreds
was
and
lost.
thousands of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we have, in the museums is just sort of a fraction of what we know, and still stuff is coming to light. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Victorians are responsible for destroying a lot, for taking those mummies and just grounding them up and all kinds of things. Yeah,
but it's what gets me is what was the motive? Like, where was the theory? Like, where did the theory come from? Like, when you want to take a mummy and make it into powder.
Some of it would have been sort of folk medicine influence. There's this idea of sympathetic magic. So, for instance, if I stabbed you with a sword, this gets very violent. You could be healed if I put this sort of special sympathetic powder on the sword. It would heal you. So it was sort of this healing by distance. So all kinds of strange ideas existed. And that's why it's important when you're studying the history of medicine to really get into the mindset, because it's so wildly different to the way we think.
Right.